Hey guys, welcome to Nerdarchy, for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Nerdarchist Ted, and today I'm joined by...
Nate the Nerdarch.
And today we're getting back into our series of why 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons needs Dark Sun, and today we're talking character trees. Jump down to the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
Alright, so we are delving into character trees for... talking about it back from Dark Sun in 2nd edition.
Right, so we're getting into our Dark Sun stuff, talking about character trees, talking about lethality. So let's find out, why this is such a great thing, and how it's attached to the wonderful world of Athas.
Well, Athas is extremely lethal. I mean, even plants try to kill you, as we joke about, but there are lots of plants in the monsters manual for Athas, and just everything in general is just tougher and punches harder, slashes more fiercely.
So anyone who is of stout constitution can go into the real world and say, you know what, I'm gonna try and spend some time in the desert, and it's hot. You're gonna need water, and you probably can make it, because you've done your research and you plotted and planned. Well, when you don't have the internet, when you don't have access to as much water as you want, and you decide, you know what, I'm gonna trek across the desert, you're gonna have a hard time surviving. Well, then we add psionic monsters and psionic plants where everything just wants to struggle for survival. And oh, by the way, these plants are carnivorous. Yeah, it's not going to be exactly easy. And that's why we have character trees. So what a character tree is, instead of making one character during character creation, you make multiple. Typically it's 3, sometimes it can be up to many as 5 or more, depending upon what your DM is allowing or wanting to do. And this way, should you go off on an adventure and you die, we can just slide somebody else in, and pretty quickly you can get back into the action, because you don't have to go through that long, strenuous process of, oh man, I gotta make a new character now. No, you've already made one. He's ready to go. He's at the level he should be, and you're, plunging away with your companions, with your friends.
And that's the reason why you could say they would kind of be absolutely necessary in that type of game, where you just don't know when the next character is going to drop and never come back. But a nice benefit, an added benefit to that, is if you've got 3 different types of characters and they're quite distinct, you can say to yourself, well, this session I would like to play the cleric instead of the rogue, or instead of the fighter. And they, you can kind of seamlessly interchange them throughout the different sessions. And that kind of, I like that, because it helps. It's an added benefit that helps with character fatigue, where you're just kind of tired of playing the same character for a while, and over several years you can switch out and never get really tired, because you got three or 4 characters to play with.
So we were actually having a conversation offline about this just recently, where someone was like, well, I'm tired of playing the same character over and over again. I want to play something else, or we did a live chat and someone's like, oh, I keep killing my character, or the player keep killing his character, and because he wants to make something new. Well, if you've got a character tree, this isn't an issue. You can just slide somebody else in, and that character doesn't have to die. You can just come back to him later, and it'd be great. There's many times that I've kind of, as you were calling it, character fatigue, where it's like, I want to play something different, but I only have one long-standing character in the 5th edition game that I'm running, or that I'm playing in, and I only have one campaign that I'm playing in. So it's like, I've got my cleric, and there's times that I want to be a big burly fighter that smashes things with a massive weapon, or cuts things down with quick-bladed swords and what have you. But I don't have that option. I've got the spell power that my cleric has, and he's very skilled. And if we get into that kind of thing, a mental trap, a mental puzzle, he's got it. He's got super skills, but he ain't got the brawn. He ain't got the fight. He's got a 8 strength.
And another thing too, with the lethality aspect, the stats just for everybody were higher. I think it went up to 24, 22 or 24, something ridiculous in 2nd edition, and which is probably as ridiculous as it would be now, I think, to have a regular half elf walking around with a 24 and stuff.
Right. Now, I don't know how that would transfer over into 5th edition because of bounded accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
And while, yes, you can have a barbarian with a 24 strength and a 24 constitution walking around once he's gotten to 20th level, But then you're talking about a epic character, whereas this is like, oh, I start off at 5th level or 3rd level, and raw, I am jacked. You know,
With a
like
22.
you don't have those kind of things. So I don't know exactly how that rule set would play out. I would probably go with a higher point buy system rather than any kind of flat bonus, across the board.
Well, I would go
Um,
with a flat. I would just say +2 to everything, and then go from there. Whatever racial bonus is, or whatever you want to do for the tree. But I actually kind of like the point buy thing as well. But I guess the issue is that things get
they get higher.
They get higher and higher and cost more and more.
So
I think you'd have more of like a really, really strong in like certain areas and terrible in others.
right. So like I would probably go with like maybe a 35 points for a point buy that would guarantee that you could have some seriously uber stuff, and maybe higher if you looked at, well, what would the cost be if you were allowed to purchase something above a 16. So that's what I would really depend upon, because it was normal to have characters with 20 in some of their stats, but it was necessary to deal with the things that were alive and going to be against you in the wilds of Athas. Now, I say that because in some normal campaigns, you could have a monarch or a ruler who was like, "Oh, I'm a 3rd level, noble, or I'm a 5th level veteran. Yay, great! I might add some extra stuff." Or you might even be like, oh, well, this guy's, got a long campaign of having fought wars, so maybe he's like a 12th level fighter. All right, great. No, in Dark Sun, your city states are ruled by 20th level sorcerers, essentially. And then they're going through powerful transformations besides that. So these things are massively powerful, incredible. And if you're going to try and fight them or some of their equivalents that are out in the wilds, you're going to die. So you don't want to. You got to be careful about who you piss off, and you could just walk into a place, not know who you're talking to, anger the wrong guy, dead. It can happen. It has happened.
Or you could make a mistake and try and cross the desert, and it's a week longer than you thought, and you just don't make it.
Or maybe you chose to play an elf and didn't realize that you were the thri-kreen's favorite food.
Yeah, and then the thri-kreen pack that's been hunting you for a week eats you. So, and then there goes slide character number 2 in.
Elven Fighter goes off the table. Let's pull in somebody else.
And that's one of the things I like about character trees in general, and I might consider using them for a game if I ever run a game for the group. So the whole thing with you got your one character and that's it for the session. You don't have any plans for making another one, and it's like really like crazy pitched battle that you might die in. I like the 3-character system kind of gives you a step back from the game. You're like, all right, if this character dies, I like him, but it's not the end of the game for me tonight if this character dies right now. I'll still have other choices. I'll still have other characters that are still hanging out with the group. Don't have to rehash the whole story and meet, that first meeting that everybody has when like a character dies, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm a guard, but I'd like to join your party for whatever reason. And then you go getting into the group. Everybody kind of knows everybody else already, so it's a lot easier just to say, oh, well, it's a shame, Voresh the mage died, but here comes, the thief, and he's able to take his spot.
Right.
And so the party of 5 stays consistent, and that's also helpful for the dungeon master, I think.
I agree. And the other thing is like, you kind of know that if you're going to play a game like Dark Sun or anything that's this kind of lethal, like, all right, there's the chance that your characters are going to die. So literally, you could put your selection of characters out in front of you, and you could say, all right, I'm going to play Olaf the Barbarian tonight, and everybody could, once they've made their selection, you could totally do like gladiator styles, like, we who are about to die salute you. And it could be a joke, and it could be a way that you could have in your mindset, it's like, all right, this guy who might die tonight is cool and is fun, but I have these other characters that are made and ready to go, and if one dies, you just slide out the next. And it could be cool, it could be fun, and as long as you're aware of it, it's great, because you know what? Despite the character dying, they can't take the memories from you. So, what do you guys think of the thought of character trees and playing in lethal games? Let's continue the conversation down in the comments below. While you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
And also patronize us in a good way over on Patreon.
So until next time, stay nerdy.